My sister was screaming my name in the hotel lobby while my husband's burner phone buzzed in my pocket. Security asked if I wanted them removed. I said no, and let them watch me press send. The lobby air nipped the skin, sharp and clean. Glass walls held the dark like a sheet of water. A fountain murmured under a hanging fern. The concierge's smile was neat and tired. My sister's voice cut straight through it. Where is she? Jenna's chest rose like she'd sprinted the last block. Her wedding band flashed as she pointed. I saw her car. Don't play games. 2 security guards lifted their hands. Ma'am, please. I stayed behind a column with the fake plant and the framed brochure of spa hours. My husband's burner phone shivered in my pocket. The name on the screen, Jenna. Again. Ma'am, the concierge called past the column. Do you want us to call the police? No, I pulled my hood down. I've got it. Jenna turned toward my voice, so fast her hair slapped her cheek. My father stood beside her in a navy blazer, the same one from holiday photos. His silver hair was perfect. His fingers turned his wedding ring in small circles. Finally, my father said, smoothing his lapel. You're causing a scene. Security hovered. The lobby smelled like eucalyptus and cold coffee. I walked up to them. Up close, Jenna had shaving cuts tiny white cousins, plucked brow nicks, dotting her skin under the powder. She smelled like mint and sour sleep. Outside, I said. Jenna wanted to snap back. My father pressed 2 fingers at her elbow and guided her through the sliding doors. Outside, the glass side shut. The night leaned on us. Highway noise hissed, and somewhere a woman laughed too loud. My own phone buzzed in my other pocket. Unknown number. Does she know? Then call me. Please. Cal. My husband. Not saved. I kept my hands still. My father spoke first. You're going to fix this. Am I? He stepped closer. We all make mistakes. Do we? Jenna stared at the ground near my shoes. In the glass, our reflections lined up like pieces on a board. Father, daughter, daughter. I opened the burner. The thread glowed blue and gray, new bruise colors, the kind that last. Jenna's name. Cal's messages. The dates sat in a row like a small parade. The night of our engagement, the weeks after, the hotel receipts, the bathroom selfies with a towel bar crooked behind him, her mirror shots with the phone hiding her face. I scrolled. My hand stayed steady. They're married to other people, my father said, soft as a waiter. Think of the child. I am. He glanced at the fountain as if a camera might be aimed that way, then back. We'll handle this privately. No need to destroy Jenna's household. Jenna's throat bobbed. The glass caught our faces. I opened my recordings and pressed play. My father's voice from 2 days ago filled the air, warm and slick. And we would prefer you keep this within the family, he said on the recording. Perceptions matter. Tom's family has resources. Jenna needs to think about her daughter. Do not tell him. Do you understand? Feet. Then the low, careful tone he uses when the mic is off. This will pass. Keep it quiet. The present night father flinched. He lifted a hand to his tie. You recorded me? Yes. Delete it, Jenna said. A wrapper lifted on the breeze and stuck to the fence with a soft slap. I slid the burner away and brought out my own phone. A draft waited. Screenshots lined up like proofs. I pressed send. 2 checks. Done. Inside, the concierge watched, arms folded. The night clerk, Ed, lifted his chin, asking a silent question. I shook my head. Jenna took a step. You don't have to do this, Alia. It's done. My father's jaw moved like he was chewing something that wouldn't break down. Cars washed us in white light and kept going. Family first, he said. You taught that, I said. You also taught the other thing. He blinked. It's over, I said, and meant it the way a match means it when the flame reaches your fingers. My father met my mother in a coffee shop with fogged windows and a rain-specked door. He tells it like a commercial. He had a first marriage before that, short and neat as a bad haircut. Out of it came Jenna. 6 months old when the papers went through. Shared weekends. Parking lot handoffs. Diaper bags. Clipped smiles. 2 years later, he saw my mother through the glass and stepped inside as if a bell rang for him alone. He proposed after a few months. She said yes like a woman who already knew the color scheme. He cheated a year into their marriage. He confessed. They took counseling photos with soft lighting. Then me. Our house ran on clean lines and calendars. Piano Mondays. Swim Tuesdays. Debate, mock trial, math league, art class where the teacher said bold a lot. Report cards taped to the fridge like artwork. My father believed in excellence like religion. It sat in the center of the table and watched us eat. Jenna glided through school and into one of the best medical programs in the country. My father brings it up to waiters if they smile too long. I took the business track he drew with a ruler. Ivy hallways. Study groups with iced coffee and color-coded slides. I learned how to nod in rooms with suits. We were a holiday card. Pressed collars, bright teeth. Parents who kissed when guests were present. When the door closed, they orbited like quiet planets. No collisions. No craters. Just gravity. At 30, my father called Jenna into the study and told her to settle down. The word sounded like a couch. She already had Tom's steady, careful, blue ties lined in their closet by shade. On. After that talk, she said yes. The wedding smelled like hydrangeas and hairspray. A year later, she had a baby girl with Jenna's eyelashes and Tom's ears. Then my turn. Scotch at the club. The same speech with my name swapped in. Children steady the boat, he said. He spoke about my mother's patients like you speak about antique china. I nodded. I already had Cal lanky, funny, good at fixing apps and toast, good at falling asleep on the couch with his feet under my thigh. Our apartment smelled like rosemary and laundry. We decided things together. We didn't pose for other people's stories. Cal proposed on my 30th with friends stuffed into our kitchen, cupcake candles doing their best. Jenna stood near the back with a drink, watching us like a doctor watches vitals. My father clapped my shoulder hard enough to shift my balance. I said yes with both hands on Cal's cheeks. Someone popped champagne in the bathroom. Shoes piled by the door, coats sagged on the rack, breath fogged the glass. Later, I saw Cal kiss my hair and vanish toward the backyard. I didn't track the minutes. The guest bathroom had a line. Someone needed ice. The front door kept giving in a burst of cold and laughter. Jenna disappeared for a long stretch too. I noticed the absence the way you notice a clock that stops ticking. Then people yelled goodnight, and the air thinned to the smell of frosting and beer. I stood at the sink rinsing knives. Cal hugged me from behind. You, he said, mouth on my neck. His breath was mint and champagne. I leaned back. We slept with crumbs in the sheets. A month later, in the laundry room, I found the burner phone in the pocket of my black jeans. A small rectangle against my fingers. The screen woke without a code. One thread waited. Jenna. No thunderclap. No crash. Just blue and gray bubbles laid out with dates and timestamps. 3 weeks after the party. The hotel off the highway. The plan with the number 5 in it like a stone at the bottom of a glass. 5 years. Long enough for Jenna's daughter to not need her mother as much. Long enough for their divorces to look tidy. Long enough to keep every photo pretty. I read with the dryer humming and the detergent cap still open beside me. I took screenshots. All of them. I sent them to 2 emails. And a third. I put the phone on our bed, face upright. I packed a bag. No note. I checked into a hotel 2 towns over under my maiden name. The concierge slid me a key card with a green stripe and said, "Enjoy your stay," like it could be that simple. I turned my phone off. A cooking show murmured. The host called Butter by its first name. 2 days later, my father called. His voice was rain on a car roof. Soft, constant, hard to measure. "Alia," he said, "I'm sorry for what happened. But don't tell Tom. Jenna has a child. This would ruin his life. Keep it quiet." He moved through the script. Family image. Donors, neighbors, mistake, counseling. He offered my mother's patients like a product sample. I pressed the record button and set the phone on the nightstand speaker up. When he finished, I said, "Thanks, the way you say it for a glass of water." I hung up. Then I typed to Tom. I didn't use hard words. I sent the screenshots in order. I added the 5-year plan. I wrote, "Your wife asked my father to tell me to keep this from you." I sent it and turned my phone off. Silence fell like a quilt. The room breathed with the air conditioner. I brushed my teeth. When I turned the phone on again, text jumped the screen. My mother's tidy blocks. "We can talk. Everyone's upset. Come home." My father's "Be reasonable." Jenna's long ropes of "Please, you'll ruin us. Think of my daughter." Cal's jittery "Call me. I love you. I was stupid. It's over, please." Tom sent one line, "Thank you. I know what to do." The front desk wrote, "Do not confirm guest on my file." At the night guard with close cropped hair, learned my face and would look up when I walked in like he'd check on me later if the ground opened. 2 nights later, the burner rattled under my pillow like a trapped bee. I didn't answer. They found me anyway, Jenna and my father, and made the lobby loud enough that security called me down. Then the doors slid, the night held us, and I pressed send. "Delete it," Jenna said again and reached. I took 1 step back. The motion light over the doors clicked. Warm white painted a curve across the sidewalk. "You can fix this," my father said low. "Say you misunderstood." "That's your word for it," I said. "Always has been." Jenna shoved both hands into her coat like she might sew them there. "Cal says it was a mistake. Then the 2 of you match." Ed nudged the door with his hip. "Everything good here?" His eyes asked the real thing. "Stay. Go." "We're fine," I said. "They're leaving." "Alia." My father used my name like a rope. "You've never been cruel." "You either," I said and watched the sentence touch him without making a mark. They left with matching shoulders. The walk of people practicing dignity. The glass swallowed them. The fountain kept going. Upstairs, I texted Tom, "If you want to talk in person, I'm here." 3 dots. Stop. Return. Tomorrow. Bring what you have. Carlos Mirano. Cal's messages stacked. I ended it with her. It was physical. "You're my life. Please. We can fix it." I forwarded everything to my lawyer. He wrote, "Got it. We'll move fast." The next morning, Tom met me at his lawyer's conference table. He wore the same blue tie from his wedding photo. He didn't look at me like I broke the glass. He looked at his life like it was already in pieces. "Show me," he said. I did. The 5-year plan sat there in print, ugly and clear. He pointed to that one with his index finger. "This," he said. "Intent," his lawyer said. Tom closed the folder and stood. "Thank you," he said, like a handshake after a rescue, and left with the papers under his arm. Later that day, Jenna moved into my parents' guest room. Tom took their daughter to his parents' house. My mother posted a photo of flowers. "Grateful," she wrote. "Family." Comments bloomed. That night, my father and Jenna came back to the hotel to pitch me a fix. I would testify that Tom was unstable. I would tell the court he left milk out, raised his voice, forgot to pick up dry cleaning. I would lie. Jenna would get full custody. Balance, my father said, rolling the word in his mouth like a coin. No, I said, and gave Ed their descriptions in patient words. Security showed them the curb. The concierge apologized for the noise. I apologized for the same thing. She smiled and slid me a square of chocolate wrapped in gold. The divorce clock ran out at 90 days. Carla arrived in a hoodie and sat on the far side of the courtroom, hands in fists, rings off. He didn't contest. He returned the house keys in a shallow white bowl on the kitchen counter, as if they might bruise. He took his car, the clothes he bought with his own money, the old guitar with the warped neck he never tuned. I kept the house. The judge read the decree like the weather. Afterward, Cal texted, I know I don't deserve it. Thank you for not making it worse. Then, I'm sorry. Nothing after. I hired carpet cleaners. Lemon and heat seeped into the walls. I opened every window until the curtains lifted and fell like slow breathing. I boxed the wedding album and taped it with squealing tape. The photos that stayed on the shelves felt heavy, like they knew too much and had decided to carry it anyway. Night was different alone. Pipes knocked. The neighbor's dog told a long story at 3 a.m. The fridge hummed in a low, steady note. On my side, the smoke detector's red blinked a calm beat. My body matched it. No words for it. Just a count you didn't have to think about. Jenna filed for divorce. Her lawyer hunted angles. Tom's lawyer didn't flinch. They sent letters like stones. Alleged. Vindictive. Unstable. My name appeared in paragraphs as if I'd set a museum on fire. Then the 5-year message arrived at the judge's desk. The burner thread. The hotel receipt. The recording of my father's request. A quiet stack. The judge's face was a wall. Tina, no, that was the other life. Tom texted, you can see her whenever. He meant their daughter. She likes the black and white books. He sent a photo. Small fist, tulip mouth. Eyes like Jenna's but clear. The little girl's cheek pressed against his shoulder. A faint milk bloom stained his shirt like a map that changes every hour. I learned the baby's schedule the way I used to learn finals week. Naps, diapers, the 10-minute windows when sleep took her like a warm tide. I didn't say much to Tom. We moved around the kitchen like we'd practiced the steps. The baby's breath smelled like bread. Jenna texted once, think of my daughter. I stared until the words went empty and then heavy. Delete. My mother came by with a casserole and a prayer plant. She set both down like props. We miss you, she said. Her eyes shone the way they do in church. I poured water. We watched the glass fill and stop. At the door, she kissed my hairline. Your father is disappointed. He'll live, I said. The firm sent him to a conference. Photos went up. Him shaking hands. Him behind a panel. Him with a lanyard. Captions. Legacy. Leadership. Service. In one picture, the corner of his mouth sagged. Barely. Like a man who had to work to keep his story smooth. Cal moved across town to a small apartment with a steel balcony. A mutual friend said he bought plants that didn't complain and learned how to poach eggs. He posted a sunrise and then a coffee cup and then his hand on a railing, the ring finger bare, the skin dented. Grooves fill. Skin learns and then forgets. Work steadied and then eased. A colleague knocked on my office door and set down a folder. You're back, she said. Rows of numbers. Clock-tamed schedules. Small things that can be saved. At home, I cleaned without hurrying. I found a dried lemon slice at the back of a cabinet, hard as a coin. I swept up a teal hair tie from under the bed and tossed it. I tied newspapers and stacked them in the garage. The prayer plant folded its leaves at night like hands that knew how. On the 91st day, I made tea and stood on the porch. The sky held a thin pink scratch over gray. The street was awake. Trash truck, runners, a kid wobbling on a bike with a helmet strap chewing his cheek. The sprinkler across the street ticked like a metronome. My phone buzzed. A photo from Dad. Old him and my mother outside that coffee shop, glass fogged. The two of them inside like a snow globe. Her hair dark, his tie loose. Their smiles simple. The caption had a date and a heart. Behind them, a stranger's baby slept in a stroller with his mouth open, the air around him acting like it mattered. I put the phone face down on the railing. A bird landed on the wire. The wire dipped and held. Around noon, Tom texted, she's down for a nap. You can come. I grabbed the small diaper bag that lives by my front door and dropped in a black and white book with a rude-looking zebra. At the door, I paused and looked back. The house sat quiet and square. Dust turned in small spirals under the window. The box with the wedding album waited under the console table, taped tight. The lemon in the air had softened to something that could be memory if I let it. Outside, heat lifted off the road in slow waves. A jogger nodded like we shared a secret. Maybe we did. Maybe everybody did. At a red light, I rolled my shoulders. The car behind me blinked its brake lights, small heartbeats. The zebra book slid across the seat and thumped against the door like it wanted out. I passed the hotel on the corner. The fountain still ran. Inside, a new concierge laughed at something on a screen. I looked once. The light changed. I kept going. Tom's front door stood ajar, the house smelling like warm milk and laundry. He held a finger to his lips. We walked to the nursery. The baby slept face down, diapered heft in the center of the crib, one hand open, fingers curved like she was keeping a tiny secret. I tucked the blanket corner. My finger brushed the knit. My hand stayed steady. In the window glass, our reflections hovered. 2 adults, 1 child, the long line of a hallway, a house that led somewhere and then somewhere again. On the dresser, the baby monitor's green dot pulsed. A moth tapped the screen and found the seam and slipped out. The mesh trembled, a small wave with no ocean. "Tea," Tom whispered. "Yeah." We sat at the kitchen table. Steam curled up and vanished. Outside, a car door closed, and the shape of the sound hung in the air for a second, then faded. The prayer plant on his sill folded its leaves a little, getting ready for night far too early. The kettle clicked itself off. Somewhere, my father practiced a new speech about legacy. Somewhere, Cal watered his quiet plants and watched the light change on his wall. Somewhere, Jenna stared at a ceiling and called it thinking. Somewhere, a judge picked a date and wrote it in a square. In the quiet kitchen, the monitor hummed. The green dot blinked its slow rhythm. The zebra on the book stared from the counter like it knew a joke and wouldn't share. I lifted my cup. The house held. The air moved. The last of the lemons slipped out of my hair. Across from me, Tom set his cup down without a sound. We didn't say their names. We didn't need to. Something had finished burning. Something else, smaller, steadier, kept and kept and kept.